Okay. Greetings, everyone. If there's anyone out there, welcome to Kung Fu Corner, our last YouTube live streamed class of May for Kung Fu. We will be I will be transitioning in June to Zoom classes for Kung Fu. Some of them may be streamed. Others may have excerpts that have come from them, but anybody can join those and actually participate in the class. Um, if you and we'll put up events and everything like that. There'll be some tickets for a very nominal donation. Everything will be good. So we're going to be expanding that. Also, if you're following us on Facebook, we have a big Facebook event happening in June. We're calling it our Summer Saber Cyber School. um, we've decided that since we're all cooped up inside and we're looking for stuff to do, that we would open up our doors and let you kind of see some of the inner workings of TPLA and what goes into the stuff that we produce and the things that we do by giving you guys access to some of our other instructors. So instructors who um, you're probably going to deal most with if you were an apprentice of ours at one of our schools or something like that. We're going to bring them to you. So during June, each of our nights will be doing, I believe, 2 classes, half an hour on Facebook Live. Free to all. Just if you're on our Facebook page, go ahead and follow there because that's where it's going to be posted. And of course, we'll post it in our forum and everything like that. Some of them, depending on the response and stuff like that, some of them we may obviously they're all going to be recorded and they're all going to be up on Facebook for everybody to see all the time. But we may move some of them over here to YouTube so that other people can see them that way. If you're not on YouTube or if you're not on Facebook, we will be doing other things as well. We'll be doing some Terra Prime Live events, some more streamed stuff, and I'll be doing a streamed workshop that again people can kind of can participate in if they get a ticket, or you can just watch at home and follow along. Either way, we've got lots of stuff coming up for you. All of this is going to be coinciding and going to the ultimate goal of the 2020 Forum Symposium. We will be having it. Now, last year we had it in person for the first time. We were hoping to do it again in first person this year, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So we're right back to the old format. That's okay. That's how it's always been since we started. So we're pretty old hat with this web-based business. So a traditional Forum Symposium will be coming up on July 4th. Independence Day here in the United States. But we figure people will be around and hopefully having something, some free time to spare. We don't know. We don't know what things are going to be, but anyway, all of that's going to go there. We also are going to be having some more news on our new membership schemes of different things. Basically, we're trying to organize all of our material, put it in a website that can link up to an app so that people can access it much more easily. And we'll probably have a membership thing for that. Membership, of course, just membership will be free, but we'll have other opportunities if people wanted to donate or help out in some way there. And we'll also have finally we'll have some merch and we'll have some swag. Um, all good stuff that we haven't had thus far because we're just a couple of martial artists just kicking around having some fun. But now we're getting a little more serious, sort of. Anyway, today we're going to kind of wrap up. I'll just keep it light. If you have any questions as I'm going through here, or you want to see anything demonstrated that we've done before, anything like that, of course, put it in the live chat if you're watching. If you're watching this after the fact, then, well, hopefully you find this interesting. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about what Kung Fu is. So, what is Kung Fu? Now, Kung Fu in English, or Kung Fu in English, essentially is a euphemism for Chinese martial arts in general. Now, that doesn't mean that that word doesn't bring up specific things in people's heads. We have a lot of media and a lot of stuff that kind of is forming certain criteria and stuff like that. But from a general standpoint, if we're talking about a Chinese martial art, we say Kung Fu in English. Now, if you show somebody Shui Jiao, they're probably not going to say Kung Fu. They're probably going to say Judo or something like that. Who knows? Because it doesn't look like what we consider Kung Fu. But anyway, in China and all of that, the term Kung Fu means skill over time. It's used generally in the martial arts arena. It is a popular term for martial arts in general, as is Wushu, all of that kind of thing. There are specific terms which we'll get in here in a moment that kind of go into that. But Kung Fu in general, we're talking about Chinese martial arts. Now, the martial arts that exist in China are very, very varied and unbelievably numerous. You have everything from competitive wrestling styles like Shui Jiao, and to the severe kind of military combative training. And then kind of, the traditional stuff and all that kind of stuff. Now, it's often broken down, because it's such a big thing, into several different dichotomies. Most of these dichotomies, they're iffy at best. We'll start out with this one, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you kind of like a little layperson's overview of Chinese martial arts. I'm not really going to educate you in Chinese martial arts history and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to try to give you enough knowledge that you can then go out, seek a little bit more knowledge on yourself, and understand a little bit of what people are talking about without having to rack your brain over it too much. Anyway, so Chinese martial arts. China is a very, very big place. So there are a bunch of divisions with martial arts that are popular. Okay? One of these divisions is Northern and Southern martial arts. There are stereotypes that come with these things. Now, it's true. There is a kind of general Northern-ish style and a kind of general Southern-ish style of movement, this, that, and the other. You can pinpoint a couple of things, you can say a couple of things, but these will always have exceptions and always have examples in the other one. So there's a kind of quality that we're talking about. And this can be extended to all martial arts worldwide, right? Is that because the technical side of these, what we physically have to do to achieve the things we do, is not different wherever we go, right? What is different is how we train for these things and how we've trained things for these things over time. Now, Northern, Southern have their little things. I am what would be considered a Northern Kung Fu stylist. The styles that I do all originate from northern provinces, northern cities, northern families. Um, they have certain similarities to each other. They have certain similarities and differences to other Chinese martial arts, all of that kind of thing. I will focus on the northern, what are considered to be the northern martial arts. And again, where is this dividing line exactly? Depends on who you're talking to. Largely. There are certain things that are solidly one way or the other. I'm just going to stick with things that are from the northern provinces. My teachers have all been from up there, from places like Shandong and Beijing and that kind of thing. So there's where my experience lies. Okay. Anywho, so when you're looking at, northern style kung fu, we have a lot of different styles, right? And again, these then can be broken down into different things. The one that's often used, especially nowadays because of the popularity of certain martial arts, is an internal versus external martial art. This is an external martial art. This is an internal martial art. Now, this is a very, very sticky debate. What exactly is internal? What exactly is external? Do these things really even matter? Is there, are these things a real thing or whatever? Now, the idea comes from a Ming Dynasty document, which is essentially the epitaph to a certain person, where it designates certain things as being internal and being external. But it doesn't go really into a whole lot of detail about what any of this thing really means. And there's a lot of debate on how meaningful the stuff said in this particular epitaph are, because it is an epitaph. It is trying to make the person who we are speaking about sound good, right? It's how we want him to be remembered. So take all of this stuff with a grain of salt. Now, generally speaking, what we say is we have internal martial arts, we have external martial arts. An example of those would be internal martial arts are considered to be like Tai Chi, Bagua, Xingyi, an art called Lu He Ba Fa. There are a couple of other things, in there. And then you have, on the other hand, you have things like Plum Blossom, Long Fist, Chang Chuang, Hua Chuan, Chan Chuang, all kinds, pretty much anything, Shandong Black Tiger, like any of those particular things, Tonglang or Mantis, right? We'll talk about that kind of thing as well. Right now, what's the difference between these kind of things? Again, who are you talking to? People have different definitions of what internal and external mean. Generally speaking, internal tries to, as we say, use softness against hardness and yada yada yada. Trying to be sophisticated about how we use kind of things. And external styles are more about the external hitting and punching and all that kind of stuff. Now, these definitions do not survive any amount of scrutiny, so don't try. But the point is that there's a kind of a difference. Most what people call external styles are done a little quicker. They usually have some more acrobatics. They look a little more like what we would consider fighting, even though they're very abstract as well. And things like Tai Chi are very slow, soft. Xingyi is very simple, even though you can do stuff like that, but you don't see the same type of dynamic movement and stuff like that. So that's that. Internal, external, whatever. Now I've done both types, right? Tai Chi and there. And we'll go into what the real differences in the things that I've done are in a second. So The other divisions that we've done come from a very formative part of the 20th century in the 20s and 30s, which is called the Republican era of in China, and of the Qing dynasty as well. Um, and there was something called the National Goshu Institute, or National Arts Institute, which divided the martial arts curriculum into Shaolin and Wudong, right? Internal, external type of thing, right? And it seems like this is where this particular division was fortified and pushed forward, at least to my mind. Um, Again, what exactly is the difference in whatever? It's just a training idea, you know. A lot of people will say that an internal martial art, internal versus external, is a levels thing. Like you start off external and you go internal. That makes a whole lot of sense. I'm not sure any of these people meant it that way. It's very difficult to tell. Anyway, so now the other thing about these things is, which is made a big deal over here, is this religious thing. So the National Goshu Institute, when we talked about external martial arts over here, those were labeled Shaolin, okay, after the Shaolin Monastery. And these were Wudong after Wudong Mountain. Internal, external places, right? So you have the associations of these places to these martial arts. Most of these martial arts don't have a whole lot, if anything, to do with these places, right? And again, that sticks, right? So you have a kind of dichotomy of Shaolin and Wudong. Now, Wudong in English is Wu-Tang. So the Wu-Tang clan is based on Wudong, right? And if you listen to some of their music, they talk about that Shaolin Wudong split, and that's because it was in the movies and it's very popular, right? It's in popular fiction a whole lot. That rivalry doesn't really exist. Um, um, Most of the martial arts that are practiced today at both of those places are of modern origin. They're not ancient, right? Both of these places, through the years, have gone through their ups and downs as far as popularity and viability amongst people. So, and especially communism has been very, very hard on religious sects in that area. So these things come up. Anyway, but there's a whole bunch of other things, right? So you have Taoist, what we consider Taoist martial arts, right? Tai Chi, Bagua, Xingyi. These are based on kind of Taoist alchemist type of symbolism and religious things, and it has a whole lot of parallels and borrowings and all that kind of stuff from religious and folk religion and that kind of thing, right? So it's all kind of mixed in there, and then it was kind of given this kind of a scholarly flourish in the 1930s with people like Sun Lutang and that kind of thing. So that internal kind of got a weird prestige. Now, I'm not going into the origins of these particular things, but I've long since kind of abandoned that way of thinking about these things because there's more to things than just Taoist and Buddhist, right? For example, right now I am the disciple of Ma Yu, who is from Hui, which is the Chinese Muslim community there. And there's a whole bunch of martial arts which is associated with the Muslim community there that are practiced by primarily Muslim communities and that kind of thing. Baji, Fanzi, Choujiao, these things that we put into Ma Shi Tong Bei, generally kind of spring from that ethnicity. An ethnicity which a lot of people don't even realize exists, but it's a very, very large one. Any hoot. with all of these differences and all of these basic, all that kind of things, there's more things there. We've got um, imitative martial arts, which imitate animals. These take a lot of cues from dance and a lot of cues from this, and probably a lot from folk religion as well, because um, there are lots of animistic traditions, especially in rural areas where there are festivals where people take on the, spirits of animals and that kind of thing. And that kind of seems like it translates a little bit into, things like uh, mantis and, eagle claw and that kind of thing. Um, Not that they don't have, uh, you know, physical, uses, and stuff like that. Um, so, so there's that, right? So, even though we're talking, Hui are generally Muslim, um, it's an ethnicity. It's not just a religion. It's not just a philosophy or anything like that. Um, so there are ethnic cues and stuff like that that are in these particular things, just like there are in other things. And that's this type of thing that we're kind of like unconsciously picking up when we're saying, oh, northern, southern, this, that, and the other. Um, Now, thus far, I've been talking about kind of raw martial arts styles. If you're talking about things like the imitative stuff, not only do you have animals, but you have narrative styles where the form tells a story. For instance, a form or style called Wusong Tokal, which means Wusong breaks his manacles, right? And it's generally done with hands held together by the wrist for the entire set until it's time to break them open. Sometimes they use an actual chain that's wrapped around the wrist, or a rope, or something like that. So that's kind of imitative, but it's not imitative of, say, an animal or something like that. Um, Drunken Style, which is a very famous thing. A lot of people doubt the existence of Drunken Style before the modern era. There are actually films of it um, in the past, at least from the 20s. I know I've seen some street performers doing it from the 20s. Um, and that's the other thing too. There's a performative aspect to all of this stuff too, right? Um, we basically have these basic, we've talked about this before, the context and different types of things. And performance is one of them, right? So street performances and that kind of thing comes in there. Now, the when we're getting into kind of like the nitty gritty, when we're saying what is kung fu, right? There's been a lot of attempts at trying to find what is the kind of thing. Um, Modern wushu, for all of the people who detract from it, and for all of its problems, and all of its this, that, and the other, right? Um, One of the things that it does do is it sort of gives us a good baseline for physical ability, because it kind of boiled everything down to the 5 stances, all of that, um, and the curriculums that they came up with. Um, Mosh and Wubian and all these other people who train I, blanking on names right now, but anyway, all of these people who came up with these new exercises, um, all that kind of stuff, had this, in them. So anyway, where does that kind of leave us? Get a little more reach on my mic here so that you can hear me. So let's go over kind of like what are some, what are the qualities of Kung Fu? There's no real one answer. Every style is going to have a little bit different, but you can always kind of see some things. So if we have if we just go through the stances, Mabu, other than relative depth and width and all of that, that's going to be very, very common, right? Um, I would almost dare say universal. But I can't say that because I haven't seen everything. But everything that I've done, including seeing, I haven't ever really worked with anybody in Shui Jiao, but I've seen the stuff, exercises in Shui Jiao. Here, I do other arts that kind of coincide with that wrestling, right? And this is a very common stance. It's one that's not only shared in Chinese martial arts, but also in other Asian martial arts. The concept of stance training itself is pretty common amongst Chinese martial arts. And that kind of brings us to the next thing, which is the practice of Dao Lu. Dao Lu, the practice of solo sets, is, again, something that is almost universal amongst Chinese martial arts. Using your stances, right, and your basic kicks, punches, that sort of thing. You can essentially, well, you can pretty much get everything that you see out there, right? And if you put them in different combinations, you can create dynamic sequences that, of course, build all of this up. And again, this is something that I've talked about before, is that the Dao Lu, after you do a lot of these, it is very, very similar to the type of fatigue you feel after sparring. The same muscles are kind of working. You kind of got the same heart rate going and all of that. And it's pretty much at the same amount of time. Now, let's take Mabu for an example. Hopefully I'm not overdriving this mic too much. I keep seeing it. Usually it's capping out here fine, but okay. Okay, so let's take Mabu. Obviously, this is from my own training. So, we have Mabu as done in Shaolin, which would be the, here, Mabu, 5 stance fist, right? It's out. There. Right? So there's Shaolin. You'll see this a lot. Okay. They get to this particular position a lot. Okay. So now we contrast that with how it's done in Tai Chi, right? Yang style Tai Chi, right? Here. Okay. Same stance, different kind of attitude toward it, right? You can see it in Tan Tui, right? Here. Okay. Same stance, different attitude, right? And then again, the relative length or depth of it is up to you as well. Baji, right? Where same thing. Okay. The dropping all of that weight into the heels, getting the core to contract. Boom, right? Sending the energy out through the extremities. that kind of thing. Using this as your generator, right? There and like that. Fanzi. I mean, anything. You're constantly moving in and out of that stance in Fanzi. So, definitely a important stance there. But more often, you're going low down, coming back up, going back down low, right? To to keep that dynamic going. Pigwa, same thing, right? Because you have this here, right? But you have the same stuff going through there, right? Again, I'll go from here a Mabu, go through here like that. Boom. Watch out for the cord. Okay. You can kind of see extrapolations if we go into like Chen style Tai Chi, which is just a little different here. You can see we're kind of in Mabu, but leaning to one leg here. One-legged Mabu, half horse sometimes called, and like that. Gongbu here, and then we open the hips that way, right? Now, people have all kinds of different things they say about these stances. Oh, it opens up this meridian. It does this for you. It does this for you. It does this for you. Probably does it all, right? Your legs, your stance, it's important, okay? Biologically, biomechanically, everything that we do with our hands is made possible by our core and our legs because it keeps us up, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can see a lot of that. Mabu travels through, through all of that kind of thing. Gongbu, same way. And you'll see a lot of that transitioning here. There. Throws. Go over the hip, blocking out that. So there's all of that. All right. All right, so basically what I'm saying is practice your Mabu, right? If anybody has any questions, ask them. I'll go through here and see if we have anything here. Other than that, I'm then going to show you a little bit of how you can train Mabu in your own home in a very easy yet challenging way. These are, I don't see anything. So I think, okay, I think that's good for So, if there's no questions, we'll move on. Okay, so stance training, Zhanzhuang, stance keeping. The first stance that you would ever hold in pretty much any art is Mabu, what we just kind of went through. Stance training, to me, is a hidden gem, a kind of secret weapon that people could use because it's not widely done. It's not fun. It's very hard, but it yields some very good things. I'm going to combine these two things of explaining and doing because it will save time. So, what we got? Assume Mabu. Okay, now you can keep your legs straight right now. Okay, go down to a depth that you're kind of comfortable at. Okay, feel that depth there, and then just go just a tiny bit lower. Right. I'm going to keep it kind of up here. Number one, because my feet are sliding out because this is a very slippery concrete floor. And my shoes have 0 tread on them. Okay, so as we are here, you're going to get your posture. You've got your legs. Now, do not rise up, right? You're going to feel almost the instant urge to rise up like that. Find that spot for yourself. You're just going to camp out there. Okay? Doesn't matter what depth. Every depth is going to kind of be almost equally as hard. None of them are terribly easy. So work up to something. You want to go for the full banana and get down, putting a disc or a staff on your thighs. Go for it. We're going to keep it up here. Just cause. Okay, so anyway, I'm here. I'm not going to rise up. What I do with my hands is I can either keep them here or I can put them out in front of me, right? Putting them out like this is the most common way, okay? Putting them down here is the easiest way, and putting them up here is the hardest way, okay? Now you should feel the effort in your glutes, right? And it should start to irradiate kind of up your torso. As you do this, your legs may start to shake, right? That's actually what we're looking for. We're looking for that point where our leg gets to a point where it thinks it's too tired to hold on, but it's too dangerous to let go. These are two competing reflexes in your body called the myotactic and the Golgi response. And they're essentially shutting your muscle on and off really quick. What you want to do is you want to relax, let that shake happen. It will shake for a little bit and then it will stop. And you're going to be rock solid. Right? Okay. Now the other thing is make sure that your knees are going out so you're going to feel it right in here. Okay? Do this. Watch your TV, watch your shows, right? If you have TV and you're watching things with commercials, hold this during the commercial break. All of that. Now, when you're ready to get up, don't just pop right up. What you want to do is shift over to one leg before you rise up. Bring both of your legs together and then stand up. Okay? If you bounce or you rise or you float kind of up and down, you're going to really put a really hard time on some of your postural muscles, and you're going to get much more sore after the fact. So there's a little warning. But this practice, as far as I know, as far as I can tell, because I've given it to people who are not martial artists to try, has global effects that affect general athleticism. Um, so I entirely recommend it. Um, let's see, are you ever going to go cover the rest, I assume, rest of the Tantui lines? The first line is notably different than mine, wondering about the rest. I'm sure they're much different than yours. Do those hand postures have specific meaning in the form of pole standing, working social muscle groups, etc.? Well, okay, so hand shape, in my holding here. What I want to do most of the time is I want to keep my hand open. We call it lotus palm, right? Because it has this curve, right? Kind of like a lotus leaf, like that. We don't want it flat to where we're making effort to keep it open. We just like relax here. Now, we keep one finger above the other one, this index finger here. I don't know why the original reason is, but there's an interesting little thing that happens with it. If somebody grabs my fingers like this, my fingers are nice and stacked up. If I'm holding my hand like this with my fingers in the normal position and somebody grabs, they start to overlap, and this is where I can get into finger locks and all that kind of stuff. So by keeping this here, it does keep your fingers kind of lined up so if somebody grabs you. Now, is that the reason? I don't know. It's just a little tidbit that I found out in my years. So there you go. Now, you just want, coming off there. So you want to just be able to kind of hold this position, as we say, tonically, right? We're not making a whole lot of effort. There's where that meditative thing can come in, where we're thinking about, okay, my hands are just floating there, right? It doesn't matter. The first few times you're going to do this, you're going to feel it in your shoulders, right? That's for sure. Now, one thing we can go into, similar to this, right? Hand shapes and that kind of thing, with a mabu. Question about Tantui. So Tantui is a exercise which is very well known and widespread. They taught it at the Goshu Institute. They taught it at Jingwu, of Bruce Lee fame, all that. And one of its characteristics is what they call Yoke Fist, which is this out, two fists out, right? So two fists out, like that. Like I'm carrying a yoke, right? Like there, right? Now, as I said, I'm not positive where everything goes. Ours has, our Tantui is Ma family, right? I know that Ma Fengtu is responsible for teaching it to a whole lot of people. I don't know exactly who, what, where, and which lines kind of connect with which. But there are some notable differences. These can be just like what we've been talking about this whole time, which is these differences in, culture and all that between the arts, between the places that they are. Okay. Now, I don't know Wushu Tantui, but I do know that it is very similar to something like the Jingwu Tantui, which I did learn. It's a 12-step. It's got 12 lines, right? If we let's take the first line of Masu Tongbe Tantui, So here, boom, 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 kick, and on. So this other one, right, was here, 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 and so on, right? Again, different in certain ways. Even within Masa Tongbe, there's boom, in, right? So some people don't go back up, right? From here, right? So which one is it? It's both, right? You're doing the same kind of thing, right? Up, and that's really that's the point, right? Masa Tongbe, we call it tum, right? Tu, tum, and in, like that. Where those differences come from? It's just like the game of telephone, right? One person says something, it changes. It'll change one thing. One person learns one exercise from one guy, right? Goes off on his own. Another person learns the same exercise from the same guy, goes off on his own. These two people can meet after a while, and what they're doing is so significantly different from each other, they can still learn from each other, right? So that's the thing. Now that's what happened specifically here with me and Damon Honeycutt, General Sun, right? We both learned from Yu Cheng Hui when he was in, I believe it's the same time when he was going around, right? He was brought here, went around the United States. So we both learned the same set, but both of the sets are on our channel, and you can see, okay, they're significantly different, right? So different, that's the beauty of all of this whole kind of stuff, the variety of all kind of things, right? So even though it's just like language, right? This is why the blog's called Fighting Words, because language and martial arts for me very integrated, right? We're always thinking about how we're communicating martial arts. Martial arts in itself is a means of communication. It's a means of communication through violence, but a means of communication nonetheless. All that. I'm going to be putting out a video that I've had a good conversation with Damon Honeycutt and Daniel Maratz about the performative aspects of martial arts and how important they are to all martial arts, not just performing martial arts, right? Like wushu and all of that kind of thing. And I always say, the only reason wushu Daolu competitors can't fight is because they don't. If you took any one of these guys and trained them for 6 months in Sanda, and a good coach like that, they would be dangerous. They have speed, agility, toughness, discipline. These are qualities that you want in a fighter. So once they get used to the arena, once they get used to getting hit, I believe it would be all over. But that's just me. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I've done back to the Tantui, in there. I've done a bunch of styles of Tantui, and everyone is a little bit, kind of different. Ma Tongbai Tantui right now for me is the best. It's the most dynamic. It's got most things. It is in some senses it is the most complicated. There are some very fairly involved lines, but still, I like it quite a lot. I like Tantui a lot. So that's again, it's a basic thing, but it's something that is very useful um, there. And core to Tantui is Mabu, Mabu Gongbu, right? No matter what style you do. So practice Mabu. We did a little Zhangdong today. Um, I'm not sure I wasn't counting the minutes. I was just kind of talking. I'll go back and find out how many minutes it was. Um, but if you stood with me, good job. If that was your first time standing, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy. Your legs start to burn almost immediately. But, to some of us, that's why we do it, because we're a little bit masochistic in that way. Anywho. Okay, so if there is nothing else, I'll check the social media pages, as it were. Those those horrible fact-checking organizations. Okay, it looks like we're clear there. There's nothing else here. Of course, I never know how long to wait for that delay. But hopefully I will jabber here enough that we'll catch up. If you have a question, please put it in there real quick. Other than that, a little reminder of what's going on starting next week. We're going to be doing our summer cyber school. So we'll have lots of Facebook Live lessons going on. The first one we're going to be doing something with Ithaca Sabers. On the first, Ithaca Sabers has a class. You can join this class via Zoom. We'll put a link, of course, and all the information out there. These have been going on every Monday. Highly recommend them. Go in and you'll meet Ben Judkins as he runs that, and he often has guest instructors from TPLA come in as well. I believe Monday, Daniel Moratz will be the guest. So we'll have a little bit of more Chinese swordplay to play with. So then we're going to go do this. Now, this class will become a Zoom class for which I will put events and stuff like that for that people can get tickets to participate in. And those will be those will probably be the same as the workshop, which was like $375, something like that after the things that Eventbrite adds, and then we go for about an hour, and then you can ask some questions. But there you go. So we're going to be doing that. The Facebook Live things are going to be about half an hour each, so they're nice and bite-sized. Tune in, play along, or save it for later. But do check them out and watch them, because there's going to be a variety of people here, and you'll see how many different minds that we've got kind of going here behind the scenes, as it were. And as we do this, we'll be setting the scene to let more of you in behind the scenes. So there's that. All right, I think we are clear for right now. So I will bid you adieu. Please stay healthy and happy. Do what you can to stay sane in these crazy, crazy times. Working out is a good thing to do. Doing some martial arts, doing some kung fu, some sabering. Join us here all the time. Well, we hopefully we'll be giving you, and everything this is on top of what we're already doing. So we're not going to be changing any of that kind of stuff. So I will leave you there. Patience, practice, perseverance. Happy sabering.